Hello and welcome to the Legends of Podcasting. This week the DC shows are back and we have a new one that's joined Black Lightning, which we will be reviewing. With me as usual is
Stuart,
Rob,
and Ross.
And I'm Liam, and let's get to it.
During the 21st century, comic books conquered the world and murdered everyone's spare time. I have assembled an elite team to hunt comic book stuff down throughout media and to cover their rise to power. Unfortunately, my plan is opposed by general life obligations, meaning instead of daily, we can do this weekly, thanks to something we have sworn our allegiance to: time management. In the future, we ourselves may not be heroes, but if we succeed, we will be remembered as the Legends of Podcasting.
Okay, guys, so this week we saw the pilot episode of the new DC TV series, Black Lightning. Let's just go straight into it. What do you guys think, Stuart?
Yeah, good. I thought it's quite interesting. I'm not very familiar with the character, so it makes it quite interesting. I'm a bit confused on a couple of bits when I was watching it. I'm not quite sure if he has like a dual personality or something, because it seems to be like he's a very friendly, outgoing, obviously principal of the school, Mr. Goody Goody. But whenever his Black Lightning powers seem to kick in, he seems to just, I wouldn't say turn evil because he's a good guy, but he seems to, I don't know, like he's definitely killed a couple people in the episode.
Kind of thing, doesn't he?
Yeah. It's very strange. So it's one of those characters that's quite interesting. Where the other DC shows, bar Legends, because they're sort of very not well known, but most of the other characters I know quite well from the comics. So I'm expecting it to be a certain way. This one's quite interesting for me because I've only seen him in a couple of sort of old cartoons from Justice League and a couple of things like that. So I'm not too sure about how his powers work or things like that. But I think it's quite interesting they've actually made it so he's sort of coming out of retirement. He's not actually Black Lightning in his prime that's probably from the comics. He's actually an older.
yeah, I kind of enjoyed that aspect of the show because obviously, with everything other DC CW show, they're starting off finding their powers. In Barry, you've got Ollie with his backstory. This one, he's been around for a while, and he's obviously been retired and trying to put his heroics into play in his civilian identity. And then you get him having to come out of retirement to save his kids in this episode, and then obviously going to be moving forward with his new suit. I quite like that.
Yeah, it definitely mixed it up a little bit from all the other shows.
Yeah, it was cool to have kind of a, as if being the pilot episode, this is kind of his origin, but then we didn't really get an origin. And just like you guys, I'm not too familiar with the character before this show. I've read up a little bit on it, and from what I gather, like you said, a couple of runs in the comics that both got cancelled off at a point. First run was like 11 issues, second one got like 13 issues, and from what I gather, it's he was the principal of the school in the original comics as well, and the idea is that he is kind of like a hero that's coming out of retirement. That's from what I gather. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's always been the deal with him, and I don't think there's ever really been a true explanation for his powers other than he's a metahuman. But I thought it was cool. I mean, it was very different to the other DC shows, but that's what I think's been cool with all the DC shows. They all feel very different, and this one feels very different on his own. And I see your point, Stuart, as well, that almost a split personality. It does seem like he has anger issues.
It's like when he took out those two cops after the sort of party to save his daughter the first time. Those two cops were there, and he just sort of took them out and then blew up their car. I was like, oh, okay.
So
because he was
I do wonder if
that's from earlier on, but
I wonder if it's going to be explored throughout the series.
Sorry, go on.
I wonder if that's going to be something that's going to be explored throughout the series. If it is the fact that he's the reason why he retired in the first place was because his rage was consuming him, and he had to put it down so he could carry on, sort of thing.
That's a good point.
Yeah, well, from some sort of minimal flashbacks showing the pilot, it looks like he retired because his now ex-wife found him nearly dying in a bath full of blood and said, "You can't do this anymore" or something. So, so you're saying, like, Liam, go back to what you said about comics. So they've never explained how he got his powers in the comics fully.
From from the things that I've read before this is that that's been the deal. That originally he didn't have the lightning powers. He just was just beat people up, and then suddenly he got lightning powers, which were explained of just saying, well, he's a metahuman, so he has lightning powers, and that's it. I don't think there's like he was struck by lightning on a full moon, whatever, and suddenly he ends up with lightning powers. It's just that he's got lightning powers. He's pretty badass, I thought, in this show as well. Like, the action in it was pretty cool. You know,
I like what the new suit he does. Like, it sort of like keeps pulsing when he's walking along.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird. I was like, oh, okay, it's a bit random, but it looked quite cool. I'm guessing because I've seen pictures of like the comic book version of him, the little videotape that old guy put on of him in the like corner shop kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That looked like his proper comic book costume, and they've sort of upped the TV for this new version.
I thought that was pretty cool seeing that the CCTV footage in the convenience store of him in the comic book costume, which you then saw on the table in that tailor's shop. And he went into the tailor shop and he was like, "Oh, he's got my daughters," and he was like, "Come downstairs." And he walks in downstairs, and the first thing Black Lightning looks at is the old costume lying down on the table, and he's like, I'm working on something new. And
I'd like to see, if the show goes on, I'd like to see more about the backstory between him and the tailor, how they know each other, how they came to help each other in the past. Also, fun facts about the actor, whose name I've completely forgotten, even though I written down a second ago. I was talking to the students before the call about where I tried to recognise him from before. He's the guy that plays Raiden in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. It's a terrible film, but that's a bit of stunt casting. But just because obviously it's another character that once played a guy that had lightning powers.
There's some other bad thing. What did I recognise? The old Phantom, Billy Zane Phantom film. He was like the bad guy now as well.
Yeah. I swear, every time he was on screen, I was sitting there trying to plot him, and I just go on to IMDb and after the show and pick him out.
I actually thought. Did you think, because you watch all the Marvel Netflix shows, did you think it was a similar vibe to the other? Because I was just thinking about it. We're saying like we didn't get an origin story or anything this time. All the Netflix shows have sort of done that. They've started off with he's already coming out of retirement, but like sign of already a hero, and they flash back through the episodes as they go along.
You can't say that. I mean, Daredevil doesn't start off with him being Daredevil.
That's true. Well, okay, fair enough. Let's say like Jessica Jones and Luke Cage then do it.
Okay.
It's funny you mentioned Luke Cage because that's with unintentional racism aside, it's the show that most feels like Black Lightning. Obviously, they're dealing with a lot of issues to do with race and identity in the show. Obviously, but Luke Cage does that as well to a lesser extent. But it's interesting to see that.
From what I understand, comic book wise, Black Lightning was DC's answer to Luke Cage. Like, Marvel had Luke Cage first, and then DC, just like the comics copy each other, like historically have done that. They need some character as an answer to someone. I believe Black Lightning was their answer to Luke Cage. But
so Luke Cage was around first, was he? Okay.
Yeah, Luke Cage came in first, and then Black Lightning came in. But I didn't really I haven't watched the Luke Cage TV series, Netflix series yet. Like, I got halfway through that first episode and just found it really boring. And I think he was the most boring character in Jessica Jones. And so I'm not really motivated to watch the rest of that season. But Black Lightning, I really enjoyed. I thought it was pretty cool.
It was, yeah. It's interesting because right at the end, that his daughter's got powers as well, by the looks of it, which could be quite interesting.
His daughters are Thunder and Lightning.
Yeah,
the most
the older
imaginative
one's
named character
Thunder,
on the
isn't
planet.
she? This is Thunder, and Jennifer's Lightning.
Yeah.
Oh, so both the daughters are going to have powers then?
Yeah, both the girls get powers.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That'll be cool.
So that's kind of how I got introduced to the character. Was I think back when I was reading comics, or back it was after the 1 year later storyline in the mid 2000s after Infinite Crisis, and I think Thunder ended up joining Nightwing's team of the Outsiders for a bit after Nightwing reformed them, and that's how I know her. And then obviously she clashed with her dad quite a bit, who was obviously Jefferson Pierce, and that's how I kind of got introduced to the Black Lightning character. But then obviously Lightning shows up in that series as well, and so that's kind of where they're going to go with those two characters. But yeah, so they're very imaginatively named. I'll give it that.
Yeah, that's quite good. Because I was thinking, because all the other DC shows have the sort of, you have your hero and then you have your team behind him, and obviously you got the guy with the tailor shop who's going to be like his helper. But that potentially could be it. It could just be them too. But if they got the two daughters going to come in as well, then you already got a little team of people.
I've seen their photo leaked around online of the daughter in her outfit for Thunder, which looks very much like Black Lightning's costume. So presumably she's going to get it from the same guy. I guess.
Yeah, my real knowledge that I know of, like, first time I was introduced to Black Lightning was that DC did a series of animated shorts that they, I believe they were broadcast on television, and they stuck them all on their YouTube channel. And amongst them was a bunch of real short couple of minute episodes on Black Lightning, and it has them in the tailor shop, and his daughters have the powers. He doesn't want them going out, but the tailor made costumes for the daughters, and then suddenly they appear with their powers, in their costumes as heroes, and then they help out their dad. And I think
was that Justice League Action program?
No, that wasn't Justice League Action. This was before that.
Okay. I think he's in that as well, I believe. I watched it. But he's a lot younger in that Justice League Action program.
Yeah.
Was he ever in that? Because Static Shock had a cartoon. Was he involved in that at all? You know, did you watch that or not? I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't watch that cartoon. I knew the cartoon, but I haven't seen that one.
Yeah. Well, they show off in that first episode.
Is very much like Jefferson, isn't he? So Virgil, I think his name is, isn't it?
Virgil. Yeah.
In the show.
I was just wondering if he'd turn up. He might turn up. I don't know.
So what's also nice with this show, how it differs from the other shows, is that this was a show about a dad and his daughters, you know, which was kind of cool and is kind of different from the other shows. I mean, Flash isn't, you know, about that. He was a single guy who gets powers and trying to get the girl. Arrow's a guy on a vengeance mission, was kind of how it started out. And Legends was all about time traveling and righting wrongs and that. And Black Lightning, with this whole episode, the only reason why he even went back into his costume was because he needed to save his girls. And so I thought that was kind of cool, and that's something that, you know, it's a cool, different angle, and it's a different way to relate to it, to the shows. So as a father myself with two daughters, you know, if I had superpowers, I'd go out there.
Yeah. No one would mess with my daughters. But
yeah, there you go. So
and yet you let Ross in your house.
So, first episode of Black Lightning done. You guys plan to continue watching it? I know myself, I'm definitely into to watch the rest of the season. What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I reckon. I reckon I'll stick with it. It's only 8-9 episodes. I think it's quite a short season, I believe, because it's sort of to give it a test feel. But yeah, I'm very interested. I'm kind of interested about seeing the development with his daughters and stuff, but just also seeing how, like, they get some flashbacks of him younger and how he got his powers, and if they go, but also, as sort of Rob said, how he met the tailor, and then also the development of if both daughters going to get the powers or it's just her. Is she going to tell him, or is she going to just find out and then go sneak off and try and, because she was the one that got arrested for trying to do protests against the 100 Club.
Yeah, she was really active. She was really active as an activist, wasn't she? So she's going to use those powers to fight the club, and then her Scash going to end up probably going to meet her dad on the street. So.
Yeah, interesting.
Cool.
No, I enjoyed it, so I'll probably end up watching it. I mean, if Arrow doesn't pick up in quality, then I'll probably end up replacing it with Arrow this season. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so that was Black Lightning. We move on to Supergirl. As everyone's caught up on Supergirl, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Literally finished watching it before the school.
So we got back from the mid-season break with Supergirl. Before the mid-season break, she had a fight with Rain, Supergirl's answer to Doomsday. And last we saw, she was then left unconscious, which is where we picked up on this episode, where we now have Brainiac 5 in the show. So I got to start off, guys. What were your thoughts on Brainiac 5?
I thought it was pretty cool to see the entire Legion show up. Well, most of the Legion anyway, with the flight rings and all of the wackiest stuff from the 31st century. It's just fun to see that show up in a superhero TV show.
I thought the ship looked awesome. Like him, like Brainiac flying the ship with that chair that swings around was well cool. I quite like it. I quite like his look. It's quite, from memory, because there was a TV show called Legends of Superheroes out cartoon ages ago that me and Russ were talking about the other day, and he was in that. I'm pretty sure they historically he's usually green skinned. They've changed that up, but he does have the 3 sort of symbols on his head, which is a sort of common thing. I thought he looked pretty good. I'd be interested to see what powers, because depending on what version you read, it's depending what powers he sort of has, bar being sort of a high level intellect. I thought he's quite quirky. I know in the comics, I think in the comics, definitely in the Justice League show, Supergirl goes to the future and falls in love with Brainiac 5. So I don't know if they're going to do anything with that, which could be quite interesting.
Well, they definitely hinted at a nice little friendship at the end, didn't they? They sort of got on quite well with him trying to impress her by being a bit taller than he is in real life. That was quite good.
That was fun. Like I said, my first impression on him, like seeing him blue, I was kind of like, why is he blue? But yeah, he was blue in that cartoon series. So, okay, because
well, he was kind of green. I'm looking at it now. He's like a greeny kind of color. But he has got like the big hair like he has and stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's got the Doc Brown hair.
Yeah.
You know, which just,
Doc Brown hair.
It's like, what's going on? Yeah. I thought that was weird, but you know what? It's a different version of the character. You know, it's a different interpretation of him. As much as his appearance I was not entirely sold on, I still thought it was pretty cool that we got Brainiac 5 in it, and we're slowly getting more of the Legion appearing in the show. I mean, who would have still frozen on the ship?
Yeah, who would have thought that we'd see the Legion of Superheroes in the TV show? I mean, they hinted at it in season 1 or 2 with the ring being in the fortress. I didn't think we'd actually see them.
Yeah.
But I did quite like.
Didn't they do that tease on Flash as well when he was traveling through time in the end of season 2? Around about then, when he was one of the parallel universes, you saw the flight ring as well. So
yes,
and I said at the time it'd be interesting to see if they bring the Legion into that universe, and obviously they've done it in Supergirl's one because it makes sense.
I thought it quite interesting. So I've never read I've read a couple of comics about the Legion of Superheroes and stuff. So I don't know how much of what they're saying, like this episode, sort of their backstory is like comic book related. But I quite like the history. There was a big, like, devastating thing on the world that nearly destroyed Earth, and then most of the history was lost. And I love the thing of being Bon Jovi as some sort of god to them, and like his songs are like teachings. I thought that was hilarious.
Like, to fight rain, and they say they're playing Bon Jovi as he
by Living on a Prayer. Was like Satin Girl quotes one of the lyrics or something, and he's like Bon Jovi. And I was like, it's so funny. I was like, that's genius. That was so funny.
Did Monel in like season 2? Did he ever mention that he liked Bon Jovi? I imagine he did, but I don't remember it. And that's where it's come from.
Yeah,
but...
so he was only on Earth for like a year, so it's quite interesting that they've based all their history on what he knows, which is very limited knowledge. Yeah. He read Romeo and Juliet, and obviously likes Bon Jovi, and that's about it. I think that's it.
So, Legion aside, it's fun seeing him show up. But the thing that slightly bugged me about the episode is they've done the CW thing again of we've got our character into a situation where she was beaten into a coma by rain in the last episode, and it's taken her 1 episode to get out of that. And I'm like,
that's quite. I thought it'd be at least a 2 or 3 episodes.
Well, trouble is the show's called Supergirl, isn't it? It's not DC Superheroes, so it has to have her in it. That's the.
Well, they're doing it with Arrow at the moment. They got rid of Arrow to make him Diggle Arrow for like.
Yeah,
the first half of the season.
I dig it.
I suppose
it lessens the threat of rain a bit if she was beaten into a pulp at the end of last season, which is quite a good cliffhanger. And all it takes for her to recover is to be put in like a back to tank, and then she's back to the normal after a couple of therapy sessions. It's like, what's the threat? What kind of threat does rain pose? Obviously, they've hinted at the end of the episode she's got the rest of the world killers that are going to show up at some point. But
I suppose. It's convenience that the Legion's ship was there, because that was what was healing her. If that wasn't there, then she would have probably died or still be in a coma. So I guess it's.
Well, there was quite an awesome Easter egg in the episode when she was having a therapy session with Brainiac 5 in her apartment in her mind, and she mentioned the cat, which is Streaky the Super Cat, the Legion of Super Pets.
Streaky, yeah. That's pretty cool.
I loved it. It was how she got out of that. How she got out of her loft as well. That she had to do the human thing and use a key to open the door.
Find a key, yeah.
She couldn't punch it, she couldn't use a heat vision, and she had to be a human to do it. I thought that was great.
It was a fun episode, and I quite enjoyed where the season's going.
I even found Ray a bit more menacing this time as well, because before the mid-season, I was just like, she's all right, but she actually was quite more, especially when she was taking out all those people in the prison. She was actually quite a bit more menacing. I was actually
that guy that robbed the delivery truck. She just annihilates him through the window, goes out the back, and leaves him.
Yeah.
I was like, damn.
Yeah, that was wow.
But she's also an interesting villain because she's trying to be a hero. You know, she's trying to stop all the crime in there, but she's just too hard on it. You know, too aggressive, too violent. And that's cool. That's kind of the classic kind of like nemesis, like hero nemesis thing, where the hero and the nemesis are typically this very similar kind of characters with very similar missions, but they go about things differently. And the nemesis is kind of misled in their approach. And that seems to be kind of where we are with this, that Rain seems to want to be a hero. But she's just going to become a more of an overlord kind of thing.
Yeah.
Did you think when she got ejected with the kryptonite that she would like transform a little bit? Because I was like, oh, they're going to do the Doomsday thing. You know, every time he gets injured, he becomes more scaly and evil. And like,
yeah, I guess they can't really do that because they got still the thing of her being a mum.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe that would then slowly, you know, the daughter will start getting scared of her. Because, you know, at the end of the last season, wasn't it? You just saw, it was Christmas Day, wasn't it? And she's like, Happy Christmas, Mum. And then she turns around looking really evil. But then it was actually them just playing like with Nerf guns in the house.
Yeah, in this episode, it's just them fooling around. Although it does worry me a bit that they might rely on that too heavily for how they're going to if they go down the redemption path of Rain as a character towards the end of the season, it'll be because of the power of love, and she'll stop being Rain because of her daughter.
Yeah.
And if that's, you know, I hope that's not the way they're going to go because that's quite obvious. But yeah,
we had a theory that because Alex obviously broke up with what was her wife's name?
Wife to be.
Yeah,
Maggie.
They split up because they didn't want kids. Well, she wanted kids and Maggie didn't. But I think it's pretty obvious that Rain will probably die, and I think Alex will start to look after her kids.
Yeah, so that was the whole episode. I think it's the season finale when she's.
They go to the Christmas party.
They go to that party in Cars, and it's sort of.
They got on really well and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be where it's heading. And I think the reason why we see Rain as going back to being a normal mum is to try and make her more of a sympathetic character. So, you know, she wants to be a good mum, but, you know, this is kind of out of her control now.
I feel like there's going to be a big world-ending event, and Rain will sacrifice herself to redeem herself, save the world, and then that's how she'll die. That's what I think is going to happen.
Oh, that's an interesting
season 4 will be 0 hour then.
Yeah.
Maybe saving some sort of cheerleader. Sorry, that was a bad reference.
2010 when you got their joke back.
Yeah,
speaking of characters though, did I miss? I can't remember if they mentioned it in the previous season. I had time to recap it, but where's Superman in all this?
Yes, I did think that. Yeah, it's like, why don't you get the other big gun? Yeah.
Well, he made the point that on a previous episode that he thinks that if she can handle it, he's not going to get involved, and then it was that
his cousin was just beaten into a coma.
Yeah. Well, does he know that she's in a coma?
Yeah.
It must be. It's all on TV.
I won't come and visit her because she hasn't. I won't come and visit her because she hasn't called me because she was in a coma and she didn't tell me she was in a coma. Right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. There you go. I didn't know you were in a coma.
I don't know the TV. I'm Superman.
Although I can see, like you say, at the end of the season, maybe he'll turn up and there'll be a big fight. The two of them team up along with the Legion to help take down the World Killers, which would be amazing.
I mean, even if Hank would just say something like, well, it's not Hank, John would say, I tried to contact him, but he's off world at the moment. You know, that would be good enough. You know, because he's doing something with the League or something stupid. That'd be enough to make you think
that would have been cool. A little reference like that.
Yeah.
Oh, he's on the Watchtower.
Yeah.
With Batman.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well, then that makes
Batman
sense.
Batman turns up and solves the Rain issue in one episode.
Throw Batarang in a retire.
Retire off, yeah.
The old classic.
There's some sort of anti-rain defense thing on my belt. So.
All right, so
Maybe that's the reason why Batman hasn't been in the CW universe so far, is because he just solved all the problems in about a second.
Yeah.
So Supergirl's looking pretty good for this season, and I thought that was pretty good coming back. Although it's going to be interesting to see how, because they're splitting up the season now, how the episodes are going to be, because they're going to stop it. I think we get 4 episodes of Supergirl, then we get a break in order for Legends of Tomorrow to come in, and then Supergirl comes back afterwards. And I seem to recall reading something online that said that the break is going to make sense. They're making it so the story arc has a natural stopping point at that bit. So the season's story is apparently split up into 3 sections. So we're apparently in a 4-episode story arc at the moment. So it's see how that goes.
Yeah. It's a bit weird. I mean, I understand, I guess, why they have to do it, because they're going to put this Black Lightning show on, which is fair enough. But splitting up a show like that, you're sort of going to be annoying at least one audience, whether it be Legends or Supergirl fans, which I'm a fan of both, having to either wait for Legends to come back for an extra month, or then stopping Supergirl. Because that means, I guess, there won't be, because there's usually everything finishes, and there's usually a couple of months break before the shows come back for the new season. So if they're doing that, there won't be a break, will there? I guess it'll just go straight from 4 episodes of Supergirl, Legends, Supergirl, and then new season of whichever one it's going to be at that time slot. You know, I think, I guess.
Are they still full, like, 21 episodes, or are they cut down?
I would think so. I mean, what was is Legends 21? Because it was 13 to begin with, and they did a couple more for season 2. Like 18 or something, wasn't it? I don't know how many they're going to be.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Legends is about 18 episodes this season.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. It's just a. You would think they could try and find another time slot either after one of the shows they already have, or I guess networks have already laid it all out, so they just have to play with what they got. So
they're just waiting to see what the reception for Black Lightning is going to be.
So Supergirl's looking good, and we've also had Flash has returned with the Trial of Flash. So, guys, what do you think on this episode?
Yeah, another really good episode. I really liked it this week. I honestly can't tell where they're going with the storyline for this season. The Mad Thinkers really sort of switched things up a bit for Flash and made the season a lot more interesting. Have you guys all seen it, Stuart? I know you haven't quite caught up to date.
Yeah, I've seen quite a bit. I'm good. Don't worry about spoilers, though. It's okay.
Yeah, I've caught up as well. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. So much heart.
I mean, yeah,
it was great. So,
yeah, very emotional episode. Well, they're sort of going back over a few bits and pieces and reaffirming Barry and Iris's love for each other now that they're married. But the standout moment for me, I think, for yourself as well, Ross, we talked about it earlier, was the dual speech from the judge condemning Barry at the end of the episode, along with the sort of interspersed with Captain Singh praising the Flash for his actions, which is just a really sort of great. That could very well have been the last season's cliffhanger, I think, because that was just a great way to end.
It almost reminded me of season 2 of Arrow, when he was fighting Deathstroke, and it kept flicking back to present day to the flashback. It reminded me a lot of that, where they would integrate 2 different scenes together. But it was really well done. I did enjoy it.
It's funny because I listened to another podcast where they reviewed this episode. And the thing that everyone on the podcast was and kept saying is that they thought the B storyline about Fallout, they were kind of like, "Oh, yeah, that was just a distraction. That was pointless. That didn't need to be there." I'm like, but it had to be in there because you needed that contrast. Yeah. In one setting, Barry Allen is getting in a lot of trouble and he's being framed for a murder, and he ends up getting sentenced to life without parole. Then you've got the contrast of that of him as the Flash is being praised as, the big hero that saved the city. And kind of like the radiation poisoning.
It really marries the two together as well, when you realise that obviously the reason why the judge was condemning him so badly is because he was skipping out the trial, seeming completely disinterested, but at the same time he was going to try and save the city. So it's just, yeah.
The only issue I had with that is, like, the city know that the Flash was going and he was taking out a metahuman that was destroying the world, and they know about metahumans because they always mention it in Central City that they're known for it. Why didn't they go with the angle of saying that Clifford DeVoe is in this other guy's body? They will believe that a guy can produce radiation and almost blow up the city and become a nuclear bomb. But why would they not believe that this guy has transformed into another body and get that rolling at least get some detectives on it and try and figure out? That was the only thing that made me sort of question a few things that they decided in that episode.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting point. But then that could potentially then lead to the exposing that Barry is the Flash, and you really don't want to do that.
Yeah, but I don't know. I was like...
But, yeah.
There was someone mentioned it to me earlier. I don't know whether they go down this route. Obviously, they mentioned in the episode that Fallout had given Barry a massive amount of radiation poisoning, that it's too big for his body to heal. Whether that's a permanent thing or just a throwaway line in the episode. But I kind of wonder if a direction they could take in the series would be that if Barry sort of quote unquote dies in prison from radiation poisoning, and then obviously he's not dead, but he's going to be spending his entire time outside working as the Flash, a bit like in Batman Murder, the comic series from the mid 2000s. When Bruce Wayne gets framed for murder and put in jail, and then he basically breaks out, and Bruce Wayne's a fugitive from justice, but the entire time he's Batman, and he's just working consistently as being Batman.
Yeah, I don't think Barry will break out. I think he's going to do this properly.
Yeah, I think he's going to stay in prison, but then, how many episodes he's going to end up in there?
So, sorry, just because I haven't seen it, I probably see questions, but so that's sort of contrasting what we were saying about, well, the show's called Supergirl, so Supergirl come back with an episode. So that means Barry's not going to be in it for the rest of the season, or by the next episode he's going to be free, or...
I know, because they've leaked the pictures online of Ralph Disney's new costume. Obviously, an elongated man is going to be joining the team full time. So obviously, they're about how they get him, the Vibe, and Wells are going to be working overtime along with Killer Frost to take out the human population. But like you say, obviously, Flash is the lead character, so they're going to need to bring back in at some point.
Yeah.
There was a point in, I think he's clearly going to be in prison for at least a few episodes. And I remember there being a point when, in a previous season, can't remember which one, when Barry's jumping through different worlds or stuff, or maybe it was going through time, that you saw as he was passing through like the Speed Force, you get these glimpses of different things.
Oh, that's right.
One of them was Barry in prison on a prison phone.
Yeah.
So I think we're seeing a little bit of that bit now, but I think he's going to be in prison for. I personally don't think he's going to be in it for the remainder of the season. I think he's probably only going to be there for a few episodes.
Yeah.
Supergirl was unconscious for like less, knocked unconscious at the end of one episode, and by halfway through the next episode was out of it. Flash went to the Flashpoint universe for like an episode and then came out of it. Flash has gone to prison. I don't think he's going to be there for very long. But one thing I thought was kind of cool on this episode, and I could be wrong, but I think that this is a nod that they were doing, is there was a Justice League movie that was going to be made a few years back, and it was fully cast and everything, and sets were built and stuff, and then it got stopped, I think, from the writer's strike or something, was what then killed that movie. But that script got leaked online years ago, and I read that. And right now, I can't remember many details of the script, but one of the things I do remember is this really cool moment at the end of it where the Flash realizes that in the script that he's the one that's going to be able to, he's going to need to like sacrifice himself in order to save everyone. So then he suddenly runs so fast that time appears to stop around him, and he uses that time to run all the way to Iris, and he runs to Iris to give her a kiss, and then runs back and then like basically sacrifice himself, and then Iris, like a tear drops on her face. I feel like they were doing a little bit of a nod to that in this courtroom scene where suddenly, she's about to announce that he's Flash, and suddenly he stops time so as to have a moment with Iris before then, kind of, in a way, sacrifice himself by making it so that he's going to jail to save everyone else's lives from being ruined. I thought that was kind of a little bit of a nod there.
Yeah, it does sound
I don't know if you guys have read the script.
No, I haven't read it, but it definitely sounds very similar, yeah. It was a great scene, that. It really was. Script.
Yeah.
That sort of leads into the question of exactly what the scheme that the Mad Thinker's up to be honest. Because all we know so far is he's been kind of collecting metahumans as a result of Barry escaping from the Speed Force at the start of the season.
Yeah.
But we've no idea where that's going. I can't
Do you think maybe he's going to try and
together,
get, because obviously he's absorbed, he's gone into what was the guy's name that his body he took? I can't remember what it was. Dominic? Is it Dominic? He's taken his ability now, hasn't he, to read minds. So I wonder if he's going to try and make all the most powerful metas that he can and try and take all of their abilities to become really powerful. That's what
then it becomes like, was it Sylar?
Sylar from Heroes, yeah.
Heroes.
I feel like it's going to be something
See,
similar.
my Heroes reference was relevant. See, look at that.
Segued in.
But surely the only reason
yeah.
why... But then the only reason he's now got these psychic powers is because he's in a psychic person's body. Surely if he moved to another body, he would lose the psychic power.
Well, unless he finds a way of capturing it while he moves. So he'll go into a body, copy it, move, copy, move. I don't know if that's what it... But
Ross, have you seen this film that came out last year? It was called X-Men Apocalypse. And there's a similar thing happens in that.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, he does. Yeah. You never know.
No,
I was also going to say about the scene between Elongated Man and Joe outside of Clifford's house.
Yeah.
When he's going to break in and plant some evidence. And he basically just...
Yeah,
that was a great scene when he was basically saying his life. He tried to do the right thing. He did something wrong. And he basically ruined his life, everyone about him. And it was just a great speech to Joe and really hit home. I thought it was really great. That was great writing that.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. Really liked that. I didn't know for that whole thing. I didn't know whether Joe was going to still do it or not.
Yeah.
Until
the last second.
Like, is he still going to do it? Is he going to go like, no, screw it, I'm going to do this?
Yeah. Really built up his character, I thought. Joe, but also just Elongated Man. What's his name? Ralph, isn't it?
It's showing that Ralph is developing a lot.
Yeah, definitely. That was a great moment for him.
Yeah, so I wonder if now that with Flash out of the way, is Elongated Man going to actually get a proper costume?
Yeah, have you not seen it? It's been leaked online.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Cool.
It does look quite good. It looks like a sort of remix of the original Firestorm jacket from season 1, Ronnie Raymond's one, season 2, when it was Robbie Amell playing the character, with a bit more sort of red colouring to it.
I was hoping that they might copy a little bit of Plastic Man and he'd have like a red mankini and some shades. That'd be classic. No.
All right, so that's it for the shows that were back this week. Which shows are back next week?
Arrow's back.
Got Arrow and Legends.
I thought Legends isn't back.
No, Legends ain't back yet.
No,
Legends is because of
You're not
Supergirl.
back.
Yeah.
No.
Oh man, I'm missing Legends. I want it back.
Me too. That's my favourite show so far.
Oh, Legends is a great.
Arrow, I was not impressed with the whole of this season, so I'm just going to sort of watch the first episode when it comes out and judge it based on so entirely on that. It's got to do a lot to impress me.
It's a shame. Arrow really does seem to go on ups and downs. Like sometimes it has points where it's like the best show, like you know the best episodes. Other times it's just struggling.
It seems to be every other season because like episode 1, it was pretty good. Then 2 really upped it. 3 was no, and then 4. Oh no, actually, 4 was pretty bad as well. Then 5 they really upped it, and then 6 they got down again. Yeah.
So it peaked at 2, went down, then peaked up again at 5, and now it's sort of on its way down again.
Yeah.
I do think they sort of taken the wrong direction with Arrow this season. I thought that you had the 5 years climax. There was a massive of like him being right. The 5-year flashbacks are over. I'm now the Green Arrow. I thought it was going to be an awesome. I'm the Green Arrow, and it's just sort of all gone backwards. Of look, Oliver Queen's the Green Arrow for like the 4th time. It's been released in the newspapers, and it's like
and at the end of last season, I don't trust my partners anymore, so I'm going to be surveilling them, and they're going to find out and be all pissy about it. It's like, we've had that already.
So going, they need to find something new. Whether I even just have a few episodes of just doing. They don't really do this anymore. Like what they used to call filler episodes, which is just a generic bad guy that they have to take down. I'd like a couple of episodes of just the team doing that. Would be nice.
Yeah, just some fun episodes.
Or even just a big cameo of a nice villain that comes from the comics. Just bring somebody else. Like when they bring in the clock,
Elizabeth Brown or something. Whatever you want to do. Something But it'd be nice just to have a few of those episodes. I think it was like I can't remember what season it was now, but like when Roy was in it, they had a couple of episodes at the beginning of the season, just them two working together, taking down bad guys, and it was great. Then they went into the whole story arc. It must have been the third one, because it was when Ra's al Ghul
it's the third one.
came into it. But yeah, I think they're getting to let's do an overriding story arc and don't concentrate on just having sort of good single episodes. But which is a shame. But it's weird though, because on the flip side, then Legends of Tomorrow is it's great having an overriding story arc, but it's sort of different with them because they can flip around all over time, and you can have some great moments. So
yeah, so they can have a lot of episodes.
They've got a lot more freedom, haven't they? That's the thing.
Yeah, and a lot more fun as well. Even with the Death of Stein, which is going to hit the sort of tone of it quite bad for a while. I think there's this whole underlying story arc of them meeting their relatives or younger selves. Like it's sort of like I don't even know what's going. I think it's quite clever because I don't even know what's going on. Right? I'm like, oh, why are they bumping into the younger selves or like relatives? That's really weird.
Yeah, I like that they're setting up a big mystery. The only thing I'm not too fond of on Legends at the moment is the fact that they've got Damien Dark, who's one of the most uninteresting characters back in the series again. As a villain, but hey, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, Damien Dark was rubbish. That was a terrible season of Arrow. You know,
he was great in the last series of Legends as part of the Legion of Doom, and then he's just back again. And now on his own, he's just it's just not working.
I think because he's so overpowered as well. You can't beat him. So there's no way. Like it's like, oh, I'm gonna go charge and beat him, and he just like does the whole force choke thing on you, and it's like, oh. So they got no one. They had Firestorm that could potentially beat him, and then I know Constantine's came in at the end of the last episode, and he's magical, so maybe they can do something with that.
Yeah, that excites me quite a bit.
But I think quite like his character, but I think they don't use him in the right way. That's the thing.
I think Constantine. I think he's a great character. I really liked that TV series, and I really like the actor playing him. I'm not sure about him in Legends, but yeah, I'm excited to see his involvement in it, and curious to see how long that he's going to stick around. I
think it'll be a couple of episodes. I don't think it'll be a permanent thing. It's just quite interesting. It's quite interesting now because obviously the Constantine show got cancelled because I'm guessing it wasn't getting the ratings it wanted. But now everyone wants him back. So every time he comes up, it pops up in a cameo somewhere, like he did with Arrow. Everyone gets really excited about it, and it's a bit of a weird. It's a weird flip.
Weren't they working on making an animated TV show based on?
Yeah. They said that, and that comes out this year, the animated Constantine. And from what I understand, is it follows on from immediately after his appearance in Arrow. So after you see in Arrow, this is what happens after Arrow, before Legends. So the animator is going to fill in that gap.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see how they do with that. I mean, I hope they do a good job with the animated. Like when they did Vixen with that, they made it so it was like you had a complete story was within that season, which is really just like one animated episode cut up into pieces. But you had a complete story within it. And but then with Ray, that first season, I don't know if you guys watched it, but it's just a whole load of setup is all it is, and it leaves you like at what's pretty much the beginning of it. It's a terrible ending to it, so it's a whole load of setup and no payoff, and so that was disappointing. I'm hoping Constantine's a more complete story that they do with that animated. But anyway, guys, I think we're running out of time, so got a lot of good shows this week. Looking forward to the next one. Anyone else want to leave on any notes?
Is Shield back this week or not?
Yeah, Shield hasn't been off. It's still on. It's still going. It's on episode 7.
I've got a lot way to catch up on that.
Yeah.
I'll just briefly mention that I was really impressed.
Yeah,
Gifted. Gifted is the show to watch.
Gifted is amazing.
It's amazing. Although I am quite enamored with Shield because I was about to turn it off as a show to watch until last season when you had the LMDs, the Hydra framework, and everything else that happened, and just pulled me back into the show. And this season's taking off where it's gone has been great. But yeah, Gifted I'm enjoying as well. So look forward to watching the season finale with that.
Yeah, I really need to get a chance to actually watch the X-Men shows, the Gifted and Legion. I got like 4 episodes into Legion, but I haven't had a chance to finish it yet, but I really liked it. Thought it's
Yeah,
fantastic.
I highly suggest you watch Gifted, Liam. It's such a good show. Obviously, I'm not quite finished it yet. I've got a few more episodes to watch. I know season finale was on this week. I think we should do a podcast on that, maybe just that, because it's like the whole season of that at some point, because it's definitely worth to talk about.
Yeah.
We should absolutely do that.
Cool. Okay.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Till next time.
Yep, no worries. With you soon.
That's bye
Yeah.
from me.
Bye from me.
Bye from me.
That's bye from me.
All right, laters.
Classic.